Fair warning, this isn't a hate video. This isn't an unnecessarily angry video. And it's not an antagonistic video. So if you were looking for that, you probably clicked the wrong thumbnail. Try the one a couple to the right. I'll wait. Okay, that didn't work. Try the one a couple to the left. No, that's still not it? Guess you might as well stay here. Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Photo Dave, this is Toypixx, and in this video, why I didn't back the HasLab Giant-Man, even though I thought the offer was pretty good. Now remember, the QR code in the bottom corner is so that you can scan that and go pick up your own free action figure photography guide. It'll also sign you up for the Toypixx newsletter. Awesome stuff, makes me happy. And remember also, if you're going old school like I tend to do, there will also be a link for that in the video description. And stick around to the end of the video where you see today's photo. It's Turtle Tuesday, so we're gonna have a turtle photo there, and you can scan that and go comment there with your own turtle photo. And at the very end, we'll have today's Patreon freebie, which I still have to workshop a name on that because everything I post on Patreon is free, so you might as well head there and just get in on the free tier now. Or a paid tier. Whatever your heart desires. And now, on to the video. Okay, let's get into this. I have no interest in Monday morning quarterbacking the Giant-Man thing. It was successful. Congratulations to the Marvel Legends team, and congratulations to everyone who backed it and really wanted a Giant-Man. That's awesome. I'm glad it worked out for you. I wanted the Giant-Man too, but you'll see why I didn't really go in on it here later on. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people were complaining about Giant-Man playing it safe. But after the Engine of Vengeance, I'm in the marketing game as well. I would have been right there with them saying, guys, we got to play this ultra safe. What can we do that won't tick off pretty much anybody? Because that's what's got to happen. And I totally would have done exactly what they did, as far as saying no tiers that are figures, just none of that. Now, I would have missed the nuance just as they did. Again, I don't want to Monday morning quarterback this thing, so please don't take it as any kind of criticism, because I would have been right there with you. The nuance being that with Engine of Vengeance, it wasn't necessarily that people didn't want tiers as far as figures are concerned. It was more they didn't want highly desirable characters as far as tiers were concerned. So Mephisto being a tier in a huge HasLab, people got ticked off about that. And I understand, people have been clamoring for Mephisto for years. I was ticked off about that for the people that really wanted things to happen when it came to that particular HasLabs. Don't worry, I'm with you. But again, because of all that, I would have missed that nuance. I would have been on my heels. I would have been saying, let's play this insanely safe, no figures. So maybe what they could have done with this one is throw in a Wasp in one of her lesser known suits and throw in a 6-inch Ant-Man that looks like the Giant-Man. Maybe for tiers, maybe not. Maybe just make that part of the overall package and keep the tiers the way they were. I'm not sure. Again, I don't want to Monday morning quarterback this thing. I know I'm probably sounding like it, but I promise you, I would have done what they did, because I would have been very gun-shy about putting figures in those tiers. Going forward, I don't know what they're going to be able to do, because I would also say Giant-Man wasn't a home run. He funded, and he did well, but to say he was massively successful like Galactus and Sentinel, I don't think I could do that. So I am curious. One thing that I might consider is Apocalypse with his 4 horsemen, not as tiers, but just that's your offering, period. And then you would have this crazy photo campaign that just kept running through the campaign, I guess, with the date on it funding ends on this date or something. Maybe put together a couple videos. Photos, a lot easier than videos. So anyway, there's just an idea. I don't know if it would work because, again, this wasn't a home run. Are there any home runs left for Legends? I don't know, and I'm sure that's what they're going to be discussing. But here's the thing about Giant-Man. I really did think he was a great offering. And I even commented on one of Ryan's posts on Twitter that, man, if I can swing this, just because of what you said, I'm going to pull it off. The fact is, other things came out, other things happened. I couldn't swing it, but I really would have. I thought that he was a great offer. And they did what I would have wanted to see with HasLab, but obviously that wasn't what a lot of people wanted. Just if you read the comments, people were saying, oh, there should have been a figure here, there should have been a figure there. But I digress. The reason I didn't back the HasLab Giant-Man is because there's just other stuff coming out that is demanding my dollar. For instance, the first thing we've got here that I'm going to talk about is Ramen Toys M.U.S.K. This is actually the thing I'm saving up for. I'm going to get the granddaddy, like the two of them together, because again, photographer, that's what I'm into when it comes to collecting, and that M.U.S.K is going to be just a phenomenal dio and a phenomenal background for all my photos. So I'm just insanely stoked about that, and that is single-handedly the reason I didn't back Giant-Man, and I think that might be kind of a thing for a lot of people moving forward, is there's so much stuff coming out. What do you do? What do you save money for? Where do you spend your money? All that good stuff. So now, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about some of that stuff that has come out. I'm going to talk about some of that stuff that's coming out, and how, you know what, frankly, I think every company, every brand from here on out simply has to bring it with as many releases as they can to fight for the consumer dollar. So, let's get into some of that other stuff, shall we? Okay, the first thing we'll talk about real quick here is the NECA Sewer Lair living room playset for the animated turtles, the Toon Turtles. Now, I don't get into price because I never have all the variables. I don't know what the profit margin is. I don't know what's going on as far as licensing fees and all this stuff. So, price to me, I just don't talk about it. Again, I don't have the information. I can say that when it comes to a Toon thing like this, I'm just not interested. I don't do Toon style in most anything. In fact, if you've been watching for a while, you know that what kicked me out of the Transformers Masterpiece line is the Toon styling. I loved it just before it got into Toon stuff. But if you're a hardcore NECA Toon Turtles fan, you were looking at this thing and you're going, ooh, I kind of want that. What will I have to sacrifice in order to get it? Now, if you're only a NECA Toon Turtles fan, this bad boy was a no-brainer, so I totally get going in and all that stuff, but a lot of collectors, we're not just getting one thing, so getting this kind of makes you wonder what else is coming, what else can I budget for, all that, and just the act of picking this bad boy up, just like anything else I'll talk about in this video, makes you maybe not be able to get something else down the line. Next, we've got the G.I. Joe Classified Dragonfly, the HasLab project for this year. This thing was absolutely beautiful. Came with all kinds of figures, came with all kinds of accessories. It was a phenomenal offering. Now, I didn't get it. It wasn't because I didn't think it was cool. It was, sadly enough, and people are gonna just shake their heads at me again for this, it was because everybody didn't come with hands. Yeah, I'm silly, but again, this is another one of those things where I picked up the Dragonfly. What can I budget for next month? What can I do if there are any surprise drops? What am I gonna miss out on now? It's just been a crazy year. Something else that came out that was a pretty penny this year is Mezco's Void Cadet Gomez and the Vortex Strike Suit. This thing, in all fairness, had I been able to, this would have been my very first Mezco action figure. All I've picked up from Mezco so far is a weapons set. I think they called it the Double Trouble. But this thing blew my mind. But again, I couldn't do it because I had other things that were being prioritized in the old collection. And if you did do it, now you might have to start thinking, man, again, what do I spend money on and what do I have to sacrifice? I'm telling you, action figure companies are bringing it, and they're fighting hard for our dollars. And then there's the HasLab Ghost. I would say this is an absolutely perfect HasLab, especially if you're into the vintage collection, the 3 3/4 Star Wars figures. This thing is one of a kind. We will never see another item like this again. They crushed it. If you're a vintage collection fan and you didn't get this, my condolences, because you're gonna want it and you're gonna end up having to shell out on eBay, on the secondary. But again, if you are a fan, you pick this up and you have to consider, what can I get now? What can't I get now? Yeah, it's getting crazy out there in the old toy Wild West. And now for one more that we are never gonna see again. If you are a Thundercats fan, you had to get the Super 7 Cat's Lair. This thing was $750 when you include shipping. That didn't include tax. You're getting this thing, you're really having to sit there and budget for everything else in your toy collection. Now again, if you're just a Thundercats fan, it probably wasn't so bad, but if you collect multiple lines, you're probably looking at this stuff and missing out. Unless you have all the money for all the things, which I know there are some of you out there that are in that position, but I think the vast majority just aren't. So there are people that picked up the Cat's Lair and thought, well, there's my budget for the year. And there are others that picked it up and were like, what's next? Gimme, gimme, gimme. Now, all that was stuff that has already come out this year, but there's still stuff that we're looking forward to, that we know is coming, that many people are saving their pennies for, and maybe passed on stuff before to make it happen. And the first one we'll talk about is the Valaverse Action Force Vanguard. This thing is a thing of beauty, and for pure action figure collectors, I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm one of those people that doesn't necessarily like lights and sounds and all that stuff, although I did go in on the Hiss tank based a lot on the fact that it gives that crazy Cobra logo on the bottom, like that light works that way. I thought that was hilarious. But I love the fact that this is being offered without all those extra crazy things, but instead with all kinds of accessories. This thing is beautiful. I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing it, but if I can, I really want it, because yeah, it looks good. But again, if I do that, what do I have to sacrifice? I'm telling you, there's a theme here. There's, everybody wants every dollar. And now Mezco is in the vehicle game, and most people seem to think that it's going to be $350 or more for their RUMBLR. Now this is one that looks like it's going to have the lights and the sounds and all that stuff, and I know that Mezco has a crazy built-in fan base, so we'll see if they come to bat for this bad boy, and if they do, we might be looking at more vehicles from Mezco and more money that needs to be saved, because when it comes to things like this RUMBLR, you don't want a surprise drop. You want to be prepared. Good Lord, where's all the money going? Sorry, I'm taking a cue from D Amazing. And then there's Super 7's Cobra Mothership for their reaction line, which, by the way, is bringing G.I. Joe O-Ring figures back. Good Lord! Now I know there's a lot of O-Ring fans, but at the same time, I was around for the original Real American Hero, and Super 7 stuff doesn't really mesh well with that. So I don't know if it's going to be successful. I don't pretend to try and figure that stuff out. Okay, I do pretend to try to figure that stuff out, but who knows if it funds. Still, if you really want this mothership, you're putting the money down, and if it does fund, suddenly that's $500 plus tax and shipping that you just don't have. So where's that money gonna go? What are you gonna miss out on? Good Lord! This video is starting to feel like a broken record. Don't worry, just a couple more things to talk about. And then, from Mattel Creations, for all you MOTU fans, you're planning for the upcoming Snake Lair. Now, I've heard people talk about the Snake Lair, and it doesn't sound like, at least from what they think, it's going to hit the wallet quite as hard as many of these other things, but still, it's something you're planning for. And so if there's a surprise drop, you're going, hashtag, die wallet die. And finally, for those of us who prioritize action figure photography, with obviously some sprinkles of nostalgia thrown in, and I might be the only person out there with that combination, we have Ramen Toys M.U.S.K, like I talked about earlier in the video, and I couldn't be more stoked to pick this thing up, but it's why I didn't get Giant-Man. So there's that. I was saving up for the M.U.S.K, and when Ace announced that 2 of these combined would be cheaper than if you bought 2 separately, I was like, oh man, there goes Giant-Man, because I'm going to need 2 of these things. For figure photography, having the sewer below, having the city up top, there are so many combinations that I can think of that are going to be beautiful with that setup. And it's going to make reviews and photos and all that way better than some of the stuff I have now. At least it's going to add some variety. So again, super stoked, but again, saving the money to make things like that happen, which means I'm not spending that money on other things, including the loads of action figures that have come out this year, because these companies, they're really putting the hurt to our wallets right now. It's kind of nuts. I think the point of this, basically, as I talked about earlier in the video, is that companies and brands have to bring it, and not just with the crowd funds and the pricier stuff, but with absolutely everything, because now more than ever, as collectors, we're spoiled. But as companies making this stuff, if they're not really bringing it all the time, we collectors are going to gravitate to the people and the companies and the lines that are bringing it. So yeah, I mean, it's awesome for us, but it's pretty stressful for all these larger companies out there. This is why I think we're seeing things like Mattel saying, hey, what do you guys want us to make next? Is because they want to go as sure thing as possible. Otherwise, there just might not be interest, and those collector dollars go elsewhere. It's really a cool time to be around in. I'm stoked about it. But man, it's gotta be stressful for all those toy makers out there. Now, comment below and let me know first, how do you prioritize your figure collecting? How many of these things have you gotten? And of course, let me know what are the pricier items I missed. I think maybe Deathsaurus was this year, or maybe it was last year, I'm not sure. So let me know what I missed there. But yeah, I'm curious, where's your collector dollar going? Did you pick up tons of this stuff, or did you just get a little bit? It's all just stuff that I like to know about, because I want to see kind of where the toy collecting community is when it comes to this stuff. Yeah, no more rambling on that part. Now, on to today's Toypixx photo. For today's Turtle Tuesday photo, we have the boys striking a pose. Frankly, because I don't have any foot soldiers for them to go against. Yes, I could make Cobra troopers work and all that, but it's just not the same. I don't know. It's craziness. Fortunately, a red foot soldier has been shown off, so if the waist cut isn't insanely egregious, I might go for that, just to have somebody for the boys to throw down with. That would That would make me happy. Anyway, scan the QR code, which will allow you to visit X/Twitter, and you can comment with your own TMNT photo today. I would be stoked to see those because that's just fun. I love seeing everybody's collection, and the more I see from NECA's turtles, the more I want more of them. I'm basically an easy mark. So yeah, go do that, have fun with some turtles, and I'll see you on the X. Next up, we have today's Patreon freebie. And for today's Patreon freebie, we have a New York City rooftop pic that you can use in your action figure photography. All you have to do with something like this is download it, put it on your desktop, or maybe even your laptop if you have some smallish turtles, set up the figures in front of it, light them up, and start taking pics. And that's where the fun's at anyway, right? And remember that on the Toypixx Patreon page, everything I put there is free, and there's a free tier, so if you don't want to spend the money on the tiers, get in there, go ahead and become a free tier patron on the Toypixx page, and you'll get all the stuff, and you don't have to watch all the videos, although you should, because I've decided I am indeed highly entertaining. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all I've got for this one. So again, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And as always, have fun and happy snapping. See ya.